it's important to just understand all of the things that the white supremacists do, because anything that you miss, that whatever you miss about the way they go about doing things, that's what's going to eventually trip you up. They already know that. I mean, the system of white supremacy is very, very, very finely tuned, like a smooth-running automobile engine. It's very fine-tuned, and they're always checking to see that that engine is running smoothly. If they hear any rattles or anything, I mean, they go and check on it immediately, because it's not supposed to happen. I mean, they want a smooth operation. And the refinement stage of white supremacy means they do it so smoothly that the average black person, the average non-white person will say, white supremacy, that doesn't exist. What's that fool talking about? What are these stupid people talking about some white supremacy? I do what I want to do. I go where I want to go. Nobody tell me what to do. You know, so then the white supremacist was to look at that black person and say, that's exactly the way we want all of them to think, that we don't even exist. That everything, you know, that they're running everything, that black people run the world. That's the way we want them to think. That is the ultimate in the refinement stage of white supremacy. See, white supremacy goes through 4 stages. The first stage is establishment. I don't know when it was established. Some people say 600 years ago. Some people say 400 years. Some people say, no, 2,000 years. Then there are other people, depending on what scholar you talk to, say, oh, no, 6,000 years. That's when they really got established, 6,000 years ago. All right? That's a long time. Now, I say I don't know, but I do know that they are in business now, the biggest business on earth. No business is bigger than that, the system of white supremacy.
Okay.
So I'm saying, I don't know when it's established, but it was established. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. That's number one. And then the second stage is maintenance. Just like anything that you start, you want to maintain it. You want to go around, you know, if you put together an aircraft or something like that, you come around and check. Or you put together an air conditioning system or a plumbing system, you come and check it every now and then, see if it's running smoothly. That's what you call maintenance.
Okay.
Yeah, you see it, everything's in place. And then expansion is when you take in more people. Expansion.
That's the third stage?
Supremacy. And there's more people on the planet now than there was, say, 10,000 years ago or 200 years ago. More people on the planet. And most of them are non-white. So you're getting more and more people, you know, as your capital, you might say, in your business. You're taking in more and more slaves because they're being born. More people are being born all the time. And they're being born in your prison. All right, that makes your prison expand. All right, you make more room for them in your prison. Okay, and then the last stage, and this is the stage they want to stay in, refinement. You make your prison look like it's not a prison, where the prisoners are concerned. Now you got a smooth operation situation.
Okay.
All right, where you have people walking around saying, nobody tells me what to do. I'm my own man. I'm 21 years old. I'm grown. All right, I ain't no child. I mean, you know, I go and do what I please, when I please, you know, whatever I please, and have the non-white females doing the same thing.
Okay.
That's a perfect situation for a prison master.
Okay, let me get this straight. Establishment, maintenance, expansion, and refinement.
Establishment, maintenance, expansion, and refinement.
Okay.
Now, they are trying to stay in the refinement stage. But, you know, a lot of black people are saying, wait a minute. We're in a system of racism. You can't fool me about that. You know, hey, racism does exist.
Okay.
Racism is real.
Racism is real.
Now, you got a whole lot of black people who are saying that now.
Okay.
Not all over the world. Not near as many as should be. Nowhere near as many.
Okay.
But you have a substantial number. Now, that disturbs the white supremacist business. Because in the refinement stage, you're not supposed to be aware that there is such a thing as racism.
Correct.
All right, it's supposed to be so smooth. So they are arguing among themselves now. The white supremacists are.
Okay.
And see, I mean, I told you to keep this thing in the refinement stage. Now you got others that are saying, no, it's kind of getting out of hand. We got to start using the hammer and the fist. We got to start gunning them down like we did in the old days. We got to be right in their face 24 hours a day.
Okay.
They said, yeah, that'll work for a little while, but all that'll do is stir them up.
Yeah.
You don't want to stir them up. You don't want to woke them up. Let these Negroes sleep on. Don't woke them up. Let them sleep on. All right, keep them asleep.
Okay.
Refinement stage.
Refinement.
That way you can lay down and go to sleep, and they'll be waiting on you hand and foot, thinking that they're serving each other, thinking that they're serving themselves. That's what you want, a smooth-running machine.
All right.
There is a system of white supremacy, which is racism, which is designed to do what? Dominate and mistreat people of color. Anybody who is classified as black, brown, red, yellow, tan, beige, has a little bit of color in his or her skin, or somebody said that they did, even if a person looks white, but they say that, well, you got a great grandmother that had some color. All right. Oh, okay. Well, they're in the mistreatment category, right? Yep. Those are the people that you're supposed to mistreat because they got color in their skin. If they got color in their skin, they're supposed to be mistreated. I mean, something is out of order if they're not being mistreated now. You got to mistreat those people that's got color in their skin. Well, why is that? Because I said so. Is that the reason? Yeah. That's all it took.
That's all it took. Wow.
And it's a lot of benefits that go with it. See? It's a lot of benefits that go with that. Mistreating people based on color, having a whole category of people, black, brown, red, yellow, tan, beige, just have some color in their skin, and you can do anything you want to with that person, and nobody's supposed to say anything about it. Isn't that a wonderful proposition? Have somebody wait on you hand and foot, do whatever you say do, think the way you want them to think, on account of the color of their skin. Don't you think that that's a wonderful thing to have when you got millions of people like that right there at your beck and call? Ain't that wonderful? Yeah, well, that sounds like that ain't right. Well, we're not talking about right and wrong now. We're talking about what's convenient. Oh, well, it is convenient. Well, then, that's all we need to think about. What's convenient? All right? I mean, that's natural. That's normal. People like to do what's convenient, and racism is convenient for any person classified as white. All right? End of story. Period. And so the average white person takes a look at that and say, well, what if we didn't have racism? Then that means you don't have a category of people that you can mistreat and get away with. Do anything you want to with. Use any kind of way you want to. Underpay them. Don't pay them at all. I mean, you're going to give that up? Give it up for what? What are you going to have if you give it up? Well, you got a point there. Yeah, I'll go with racism. So the average white person has every incentive to be a racist.
I see. Okay.
That's the bottom line that I want to, get to.
Okay.
Every white person, when given that kind of option, do you want the option of having people at your beck and call, people kissing your foot anytime you tell them to, and it ain't nothing they can do about it except kiss it? Isn't that a convenience? Well, you put it that way, it is. Now, you want to give it up and just have to everybody equal, which means you're going to have to work harder. You ain't got nobody to push around. When you get mad, you don't have nobody that you can go over across town and kick or shoot and whatnot. You just have to try to work it out. I mean, you don't have that convenience, Well, yeah, I see your point. Yes, I see your point. That's a wonderful point. Well, I know it ain't right, but it's convenient, like you say, and we'll worry about the right later. I mean,
Okay.
I mean, if ever.
If ever.
And that's all racism is, folks.
Okay.
That's all it is. It's a super convenience if you're white. Well, probably all of the above, if I understand your question. See, if a fish, the nature of a fish is born in water. So the fish is not aware of water until the fish is out of the water. Okay? Because that's the natural habitat of a fish. Now, if you're born in prison, and black people are born in prison, non-white people are born in a prison called, and the name of that prison is the system of white supremacy, you're just not aware that you're in prison. You think this is situation normal. I mean, hey, what's wrong with people? I mean, talking about some kind of racism, what is that? I mean, I go where I want to, do what I want to, what are you talking about? Why? Because if you're born in a situation, if you're born in a prison cell, and you never go out of that prison cell, your whole world is a prison cell. I mean, even a mouse understands that. Or a bird in a cage. A bird born in a caged bird, as Maya Angelou would say. I mean, it's just singing. I mean, hey, I mean, it's happy. Like black people on the plantation. Oh, the happy darky, they called us. All right? And you say something about slavery. I ain't no slave. What you talking about? Zippity-doo-dah. I'm happy. I got a banjo, got my gal, got my song. What you talking about? See, now that's a firmly indoctrinated person, all right, who is not aware of his situation. And for the most part, here in 2018, the non-white people of this planet are not aware that they were born in a prison called the system of white supremacy, and that they are prisoners of war in that prison, and that no one is seriously telling them this in words that they can understand. And that makes all the difference in the world in how people behave, because we consider this situation normal, which it is. Why is it normal, quote unquote? Because it's always been that way for the people who are on this planet right now. Maybe thousands of years ago it wasn't that way, but that's the way it is in 2018. So it's natural, you might say, if you want to use that word, for non-white people to not understand that they are prisoners of war when they are born in prison and never known anything else other than that. In economics, in education, in entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. They are war prisoners. They are war prisoners, prisoners of that war. Already born that way, in prison, behind those walls. Well, I don't know if the Holy Bible was put together by the white supremacists or not. That's controversial. Some people say yes, some people say no. I say I don't know.
Okay.
But I do know this. Whatever the white supremacists touch, they are not going to fool with it for 5 minutes unless they figure out a way in 5 minutes to put it to work for the system of white supremacy. They'll find something else to touch. So if a white supremacist puts his hand on a Bible, or her hand on a Bible, they are going to say, now, this Bible is already here, but I am going to use it to do the things that I want to do. And I'm going to make everybody else of color fall in line so that this Bible will support whatever it is that I want done. And I will even change the meaning of every passage of it without changing a word. I'll just say, that's not what that means. And the black preacher will say, that is what that means. It's right here in the Bible. But the white supremacists say, boy, what did I say it meant? It meant that yesterday. Why? Because I said that it meant that yesterday. But that's not what it means today, boy. hey, who is your master here on earth? Your master in your heart and in your head and in your church that I allow you to have is somebody else. What you call your God, and that's okay, I'll let you do that. But boy, when I walk in your church, with or without a gun, you will, and you and your congregation, your choir, and everybody you got here, young and old, will and have obeyed me from day one. So don't get in my face waving a Bible, boy.
Psychology, we call it love for the aggressor, identity with the aggressor, where one loves the one that persecutes them in an unhealthy sort of way. But this is a part of what Freud talked about when he talks about the Oedipus complex. That his theory is that the boy comes to be like his father.
I ain't no black.
Because the boy hates his father. And it's a very interesting kind of concept there. He wants to get rid of his father. Then how does he come to be like his father, we say? Because if he comes out and actually tells his father how much he hates him, the father might do what? Destroy him. You see? He's dependent upon his father. He needs his father. And that need and dependency, that fear that his father will hurt him or destroy him, the fact that he feels weak relative to his father, then sets him up to say, I can't express my hatred. I can't express my hostility. And yet this hostility is tearing me apart. This hatred is tearing me apart. How can I get rid of it? And he gets rid of it by saying, then I'll do what my father says do. I'll be like my father. If I think the way my father thinks, if I behave the way my father behaves, if I look at the world the way my father looks at it, if I have the values that my father has, if I be as much like my father as possible, then I will escape my father's punishment and death. If I can show my father that I love him, that I'm the same as he, then my father will not victimize me. And it's a peculiar theory, but it has some interesting aspects about it. To a good extent, the relationship between African peoples and white people is a father-child relationship. We think of ourselves as weak, powerless against the white man. We see him as the source of gifts, the source of blessing. He gives us the jobs, he gives us the protection, he gives us the food, he provides the water, he provides the housing, he provides this, he provides that. You see? And we also think because we're weak, we cannot go directly against him to destroy him, even though he hurts us, even though he degrades us, even though he frustrates us, even though he enslaves us and discriminates against us. We still don't quite get up the drive to say, well, I'm going to destroy this person who degrades me and who is destroying me. Because we feel as if we need him in some kind of way, that we can't live without him. He also tells us that you suffer because you have a different color. You suffer because you have a different kind of shaped nose. You suffer because you have a different hair. You suffer because you come from Africa. You suffer because you don't look like me. And what do we go for then? We say, well, if I want to get out of this suffering, then I should be as much like him as possible. As a matter of fact, if I get so much like him where he can't tell the difference between me and himself, he won't punish me anymore. I will no longer be, what? A victim. So therefore, we are motivated then to come outside of ourselves, to move toward the person that is destroying us and victimizing ourselves, hoping that if we can get them to love us, and if we can show them how much we love them, and if we show them how much alike we can be, we can get them to not see us as color. You know, look at me, don't look at me as a black person, look at me as a person. You know, to abstract us. In other words, in order for other people to love us, they must not see the blackness of our skins. They must see some kind of invisible abstraction before them. True love is a person who sees you for all of your blackness and your big lips and your big nose and your kick your hair and still does what? Loves you. If they got to remove your hair and they can't see you standing before them as a black person, they don't love you, ladies and gentlemen. For a person to say, I don't see you as black, how could you not see me as black? I'm standing right in front of you. But this is the kind of thing we want these people to do, to abstract who we are. And therefore, if we become an abstraction, that means we leave who we are. We have to come outside of ourselves. That's why we want to be educated with them and educated like them and so forth. We want to not identify in any way with Africa, African people, because to identify with Africa and African people is to suffer. So consequently, we even come to hate ourselves and come to hate our people and come to love the people who destroy us, but it's an unhealthy kind of love. We come to resemble those people. We want to take their values and their orientations toward life. And when they accept us, we escape from our self-hatred. And therefore, we look as if we look for their love to take us outside of ourselves as a people. So consequently, even when we don't love them, when we love even within our own group, we still often look for a kind of love that will take us outside of ourselves, which means then we become false and unreal and untrue and dishonest and deceptive, unknowing. And how can you develop then a beautiful household and beautiful children and a beautiful community with a love based on this kind of hatred?
The white supremacists control all of the affairs of people who they classify as non-white on this planet called Earth. Period. In all 9 areas of activity. Absolute control, not partial control, not slipshod control, not control maybe on a Tuesday, but not exactly on a Wednesday. Oh, no. It's absolute. All of the time. Nothing happens that's going to go anywhere without their approval. That's why you have to replace the entire system. You can't peck away at it. You can't say, well, you know, I'll move a few chairs around in the prison camp. You know, well, yeah, you can move a few chairs around in the prison camp, but you're still in the prison camp. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes, you can have a trustee in the prison camp.
But you're still in the prison camp.
And that's what black people are at their highest level. We're trustees. You work in the warden's office, like Andy Dufresne in Shawshank Redemption.
But you're still in the prison camp.
You're still a prisoner. And every now and then, some black people tend to forget that. And the white supremacists always let them know. Oh, just because you have that title, you got to remember, boy, I gave you that title.
So you can be president.
You don't have a title of your own. You just have a title.
Okay.
You are beholden to me. Every move that you make has to be approved by me. And if you make one that's not approved by me, you will feel the sting from me. And they have proven this all over the world. All of the so-called presidents of African countries, these are not really countries. These are just titles that people have. The white supremacists will determine whether they eat or not. All right? Not to say anything about whether their people will have anything or not. The white supremacists determine whether or not they'll breathe. I mean, through the rest of this day. Pick any, non-white person on the planet and say what their title is and how much of a big army they have and all like that. And the white supremacist says, yeah, I don't care who he or she is. If they are classified as non-white, they can have a sudden heart attack and don't know how it happened. But I know how it happened because I did it. We know how to do things. We know how to eliminate people. I don't care how many guards they got. We control the air that people breathe. All right? Put that in your pipe and smoke it, boy. We control the air that you breathe, and we can cut that air off at any time. You don't believe it? Try us. Because a lot of you have tried thinking that you were the head of something, that you are now out of my jurisdiction. Any black person anywhere on this planet that has a so-called big title knows who their boss is. if they tell the truth. And that boss is always somebody classified as white.
Hey, motherfucker! I ain't no black.
Don't kill me, even though I teach you how to do it. Kill your brother and the fellow down the street. And anybody who remotely looks like you. Kill it. Kill it. Harm it. Kick it. Curse it. Write a song about kicking it and killing it and cursing it. And try to get everybody to listen to it. And then go out and do it. And try to get them to do it. And call that our culture. Isn't that wonderful? I wish somebody would copy it. Everybody should be like that. Mass sickness. That's what the system of white supremacy spawns. You have done an excellent job. Even as we speak, it manifests itself all over the world. Get me a 9mm and kill somebody that looks like me. That's what I do. That's the mind of a stone victim. A person who has been completely victimized because their mind has been completely turned upside down, inside out, and then finally just completely oblivious. Is not even a man. Robotized. Niggerized. A thing. Not even remotely resembling a humane person, a human being. All 9 areas of activity, this is what the white supremacists enjoy. They have made the world a cesspool of this nonsense. Some areas of the world, people don't have the sophisticated pistols and rifles, so get a machete. Don't cut bananas off the tree, or cut sugar cane. Get a machete and whack off the arm of a black lady who tried to hide from you because you're a rapist. Teach her a lesson. And then walk around and feel proud of yourself.
Shame. Shame.
Strong black male image.
Shame.
We can stop it by becoming a little bit sane in this insane situation that's been produced and refined by the white supremacists. What's wrong with variety? What's wrong with diversity? Diverting from one thing to another. Well, maybe nothing, but let's examine it. Examine it for what? To see if it is an improvement over what you already had. And if so, justified by showing, by example, where's the improvement, which one of these, see, when you start talking about homosexuality or lesbianism, these are not just abstract words. These are talking about you have to do certain things to qualify. So what are these things that you do? And which one of them is an improvement over what has been done? Yes, just like a person might come around and say, well, hey, you know, I used to kind of be attracted to people, you know. I've had several wives and all like that. Even had a little incest, I mean, every now and then, I mean, you know. And, but I finally came to the conclusion that people ain't where it's at all. I'm in the bear. You know, you say, what do you mean you in the bear? I'm into bear. I go out in the woods and I chase me down a bear. The bear ain't chasing me no more. I'm chasing them. I have found that that's a wonderful alternative. I mean, after all, man, I mean, let's face it. Look at these marriages and divorces and whatnot. I don't have no trouble with the bears. I mean, I used to didn't think of anything about bears except just going to the ball game, you know. But I found out that, man, if you really snuggle up to a bear, you'll never want to go back doing nothing else. Now, where'd you get that idea? Well, it just came to me one night. Tired of these women. In fact, people was telling me, well, if you don't like women, get you a man. Well, I'm tired of them too. So I'm in the bear. See, now you might laugh, but it's going to come to that if it ain't already. Because there are some people into that.
Mm.
Yeah, they call it, what do you call it, bestiality?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, see, I mean, that might be a wholesale thing. In about another 10 years, they say, well, hey, well, you know, this gay and lesbian thing about played out, man, ain't where it's at. You know, man, everybody's trying to preserve the bears now. You know, I'm trying to get me a panda. You know? Now, what is the point that I'm making? It's a lots of things that the mind can do. The mind is extremely inventive and extremely flexible. But the basic question is this type of activity an improvement, and if so, why? Otherwise, why are you coming around asking black people who don't even have a roof over their head that this is what they should be pushing now? Mm-hmm. They don't even have a decent school or a decent job. But now you want them to join the gay rights movement, and that should be their priority. We should drop everything else and make that a priority. I don't see the justification at all. Mm-hmm. They have some white people who came around years ago and started calling it the rainbow. You know, kind of, you might excuse the pun, tailgating Jesse Jackson's rainbow push for civil rights. And then they got to saying, well, what is this all about? And when the question was asked, they answered by saying, well, it's another division of civil rights.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all the same thing. Discriminating against gays is the same as discriminating against blacks. And a lot of black people say, wait a minute, it may sound like the same thing, but it ain't the same thing. But they were able to shout all of that down. It is the same thing. Why is it the same thing? Because I said so. White supremacy in action again. Always, because I said so. See, but, you know, but that don't, you know, it sounds like it could be right, but it's something that still don't add up. It ain't the same thing. It is the same thing. Trust me. No different. Discrimination is discrimination, which is another word that people should pay attention to. Everybody discriminates every day. You discriminate when you decide to ride the bicycle to work rather than catch the bus. Now, does that say that you are discriminating against the bus riders? You know, so that word discrimination, I don't even use it because everybody discriminates. It just means choosing. But what is the key? The key is it a choice that's constructive? When you start talking about black people's plight now, see, that's a different thing altogether. Is it constructive or is it non-constructive? Because it's got to be one or the other. Is it an improvement? Now, we already have a mess with the male-female thing, but you would have that anyway under any system that's unjust. But now, are you making a bigger mess, or are you straightening out all the mess that ever was? I have no reason to believe that this is helping to straighten out anything. It's helping to make it worse, particularly when you start doing it right down to the grade school level. Start saying that this is something that this is just what you children need. You're 7 years old, and this is what I need? I don't even know what sex is yet. Now you're telling me about alternatives to sex. Well, let's start out so that your mind will get straight. Now, Jane has 2 mommies, thinking about getting 3. Now, what benefit is this to Jane? Well, she learns diversity at an early age. Diverting from what to what in order to do what? Oh, well, we'll know when we get there. Don't ask so many questions. Oh, no. I got a lot of questions. You know, show me how this is a what? Improvement. Which one of these acts? See? Well, you know, being gay. Don't you understand what being gay used to mean? Being happy. I mean, you know, but that ain't what it means, I don't think, when you say it. So you're talking about acts. Show me by demonstration the very act that you're talking about that's going to be an improvement. And then show me, tell me in words how this is a great improvement. Tell me, you know. First, do the act with me looking at you. And then after you finish the act, you'll say, now that's act one of being gay. You ain't gay unless you do this. See, you know, there's several things you can do to qualify for being gay. So you got to have qualifications. Otherwise, what's the difference between you and everybody else? If you don't do something different. So you got to do something. So whatever that difference is, you do it. Then you get before, you know, come to the blackboard with the pointer and whatnot, and you say, now, number one, this is an improvement over whatever it is you all are doing out there. It's not just an alternative. And I'm telling you this because you should be on board for supporting act number one, which I just demonstrated to you. This is what you actually ask people to do. See, in other words, stop just talking in circles and whatnot and talking in innuendo. Get the crowd there to come and take their seats respectfully, and then march down the aisle and come up to the podium and have your bed up there or whatever it is you're supposed to have, and do what it is that you say that everybody should be taking an interest in and supporting. And then as you do it, you can turn around and face the crowd every now and then. Just take a little break. Say, now you saw what we just did. Now, this is an improvement over what has been because of, and then enumerate the improvements and ask for questions and answers. Because if I'm in the audience, I'm going to say, now, how is that an improvement? I just saw what you did from start to finish. I sat here and watched it for 15 minutes until you completed it. Didn't say a word. Now I want you to tell me how that's an improvement over what? I think that what I'll hear is silence. But I don't know. See, because they never get that far. They just go around and say, support us. And if you don't support us, oh, you're some kind of demon. You're some kind of anti-something. No, just explain what you're doing. I mean, like the chief. I don't know about that fire water. You know, how is that going to improve me? How is that going to be an improvement over water? Say, well, didn't you get a little buzz when you? Yeah, I got the little buzz and all like that. But is it an improvement? Say, well, didn't the mountains look like you know, saw two of them instead of one? Wouldn't you like to have an extra mountain? Well, an extra mountain might help, but that's not really what I was looking at. I thought I was. Well, Chief, that's what whiskey does. It makes you drunk. Well, is being drunk an improvement over being sober? Well, if you work at it, see how they talk? And they do the same thing with sex.